Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network. Welcome to Gun Sports Radio, all about shooting, hunting, self-defense, and more. Now, here are the hosts of Gun Sports Radio, Dave Stahl and Lance Pelkey.
All right, folks. Hey, welcome. Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170. We are the answer. And we want to thank the great guys at Gun Range San Diego, 7853 Balboa Avenue in lovely San Diego. 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Go to Gun Range San Diego for all of your gun needs, classes, repair, you name it. Gun Range San Diego can do it for you. Again, 7853 Balboa Avenue. Just go to gunrangesandiego.com. Well, Lance, my friend, what's going on?
So good to see you, Uncle Dave. How are you today?
So good to see you, too. Ever since we had a mashed potato and bacon pizza.
It all sounds so
doesn't that sound like, I tell you, I was telling Dave that if I ever saw that on a menu, I'd never order it because I'd be such a pig. But I saw it on TV, and I had to go there, and that was in North Park.
It's a
coal fire pizza. It's called Urban. And so it's a mashed potato pizza with bacon on it.
I only had one complaint. Not enough bacon.
Yeah. It's never enough bacon. It was awesome.
So what you got planned for the show today?
You know what we're doing today is we got Mike. We're going to be talking about Trump and the NRA stuff, and then we got Dylan calling in and that kind of stuff, and then we got our friend Charlie in studio. He does some social media stuff for a big car company here in town.
Cool.
So that's what we're doing. So what's happening with Mr. Trump and that whole NRA thing?
Well, let's kick it off. Actually, what I wanted to bring to everybody's attention is it's a story about why shows like this are important. It's a story about why organizations like San Diego County Gun Owners and the NRA is so important. If you check out San Diego County Gunowners.com, I actually posted the story up on San Diego County Gunowners.com. Don't miss it. Go check out the story. It's Gavin Newsom calls out the NRA, suggests lives being saved by gun control. And if you don't know who Gavin Newsom is, he's our esteemed lieutenant governor who's looking to be our next governor, and he is about as anti, Second Amendment, anti-gun sports as he can be. Absolutely horrible. So he tweeted out, "Hey NRA, the people of California have already spoken loudly. We reject your money-driven agenda. We're focused on saving lives."
Isn't that great? That's what they do.
How unbelievably.
Because what was that last thing he passed? It's called Safety for All or something like that?
The Safety for All Act.
Yeah, Safety for All.
And what's important to point out, and with shows like this and in different organizations, again, if you want to read that article, it's up on San Diego County Gunowners.com, so check it out. But, he talks about rejecting the money-driven agenda, and like you talked about with Prop 63, Lance, that ammo regulation was actually, it's going to allow different shops to corner the market. So they would actually end up making more money if they could corner the market on ammunition. Still, all the shops, all the dealers, everybody is against this idea. So to call it a money-driven agenda is absolutely ridiculous. And even the assault weapons ban it's created kind of a cottage industry, with these mag locks and the featureless.
Yep.
So you would think heck, we want these laws to make more money. Absolutely not. Even the people that come up with these different products, they don't want to make more money. They want their gun rights. They want their Second Amendment rights.
And Charlie and I were talking on the way over here. It's, when you wake up, when you're born as an American, you wouldn't think if you had to go to New York right now that you might be stopped from doing it for whatever reason. It's your natural right to be able to go.
Right.
Well, when you're born as an American, the Second Amendment right, it's your natural right to own a gun.
Yep.
Type of deal. And look how all this stuff comes, people start eroding away, and that's why we're here.
And we got to earn it back. And I frankly think the industry deserves praise for not being selfish, for not being money-driven, but for saying, hey, look, these laws need to go away.
Yeah.
Rights are more important than profits.
There's a lot of laws that California, puts in that totally goes against the Second Amendment, like the California approved roster.
The pistol roster.
The pistol roster, yeah, the handgun roster, the California approved handgun roster. And they say you can have this gun, but you can't have that gun. How would that work if we said, all right, you can go to the library, but you can't check out this book, but you can check out that book? Or how would it work if we say you can go to this church, but you can't go to that church.
Yeah, you can read Cosmo, but you can't read the New York Times.
Right, yeah. I mean, how would that work in any other part of the amendment for freedom of religion, freedom of speech, anything like that? It would be absurd to have something like that in place, but because it's the Second Amendment and the Ninth District is so biased, they're letting these things, fly through.
Well, and the story, story's posted San Diego County GunOwners.com. Check it out. But the story is actually by Breitbart, and it covers his tweet. And what's happened, it's overall good. But what's happened is these politicians now have an outlet to say whatever they want to anybody. So this kind of misinformation gets out off of Twitter and that sort of thing, and people pass it off as facts, which is why it's important for shows like this and organizations and their members to get out there and talk about some of the real facts that matter. He talks about how these gun bans have saved lives, and it's absolutely not true. In fact, if you look at some of the Center for the Disease Control, which is an unbiased organization, and they point out in their studies that 80% of homicides where they use a gun are gang related. They're gang related. So banning guns and restricting gun rights for law abiding citizens, that's not going to stop gangs from using guns. It's ridiculous to suggest that.
Absolutely. I mean, by definition, a criminal doesn't follow the law. So how does making more gun laws stop criminals? It doesn't. It just ties the hands of law-abiding citizens who want to follow the law.
And speaking of that, we were at dinner last night with some friends, and unfortunately, they were having dinner in France right there by the Arc de Triomphe when that whole thing went down. And they didn't hear anything. They just saw some people running, and they didn't really know why.
Oh, my gosh.
And so, it's horrible. And I said, well, I asked them, I said, I guess in France, you can't own a gun, so how did those guys get guns? How did those bad guys get guns and be able to, to do that terrible stuff?
Well, I've never been a believer of being proactive or reactive. I've always been a believer of proactive. Mm-hmm. And just the fact that when Trump said what he was going to do to the border, look what it did. Look all the people that stopped coming across. I mean, if everybody out there knew that we had the option to carry, yeah, I don't think there'd be anybody chasing people around as much as they do.
Well, and that's another thing. As far as defensive use of firearms, how often do Americans actually use a firearm per year to defend their life or their dignity? The lowest number, and it depends on how you do the numbers.
Do the math.
Yeah. Do cops count? Does it count if I just show a gun, or do I actually have to use it? The very lowest number is 55,000 times every year. That's the lowest number. Most estimates are up in the hundreds of thousands, and some are as high as 2 million. And
to your point, so Dave, we talking to a minister one time about this whole thing. I feel like I'm a sitting duck when I go to a movie theater nowadays.
Yeah.
I just don't like it, or a mall. And, because of the bad guys. And what the minister said was, well, if someone had a concealed carry, there might be a shootout. I said, yeah, that's the idea. We have a chance to survive.
Instead of a one-way.
There might be a shootout.
Instead of a one-way.
Right.
Instead of he getting killed.
Amazing.
Well, I was at KUSI, did a fantastic job last week of presenting, what's going on with the NRA and Trump the lawsuits and everything. And I was actually at the gun range, San Diego, Monday night.
Yeah.
Yep. And the reporter said, okay, well, and we were going over the assault weapons ban, and I was showing, this is what they're actually banning. And she said to me, okay, so this is to stop mass murderers. And I said, well, if you're expecting, mass murderers to be law abiding, then we're definitely failing as far as public safety goes. And you can see it kind of share go, yeah, that's a really good point. We're not going to, they're already serial killers or mass murderers. They're already murderers. They're not going to stop and go, well, they don't want me to use this, so I got to use something else. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. The criminals are going to say, what are the rules again?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't go out and shoot
I'm willing to kill somebody, but I'm not willing to break a gun law.
Yeah, right.
But Trump did speak at the NRA convention. That makes him the first president since Reagan.
Did you listen to that speech?
I listened to the whole thing.
So did I.
I listened to the whole thing. And
it was awesome.
He is I think he's the biggest Second Amendment advocate in the White House.
Period.
Even more so than Reagan, in my opinion.
Period.
I think it's going to be great, but they're filing lawsuits. CRPA and NRA, and then there's also Firearms Policy Coalition. They're starting to file lawsuits, which John Dillon's going to talk about here coming up. But they're finally saying, okay, that's it. We're going to fight against the assault weapons ban. It's been around for 30 years, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So they're filing a lawsuit against the assault weapons ban. Firearms Policy Coalition is filing a lawsuit against the magazine ban. And they're starting to, feel like they have the support from the courts, maybe not in the lower courts in California, but, Trump is going to be able to appoint more and more judges, and they feel like, okay, well, let's get out there now so that by the time it trickles up, we can do some fighting. But again, lawsuits are important, but it's not activism. Sitting there watching an attorney file a lawsuit's not activism. So we got to do our part too. Yes. They're doing their part. So
get off your duff.
Yeah, and you can. You can. You can make a difference. Boots on the ground.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, a whole lot more right here on Gun Sports Radio. We want to give a big thank out to Gun Range San Diego.
Already.
AM 1170, The Answer.
Welcome back, Gun Sports Radio, right here on AM 1170. I'm Dave. He is Vance.
Yeah, who?
Are you okay there, short cord?
Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by the good folks at Trident Gunsmithing. Go to TridentGunsmithing.com, TridentGunsmithing.com, located up in the Miramar area. And let me tell you, phenomenal bunch of guys. And they specialize in the older guns, black powder, and all. In fact, they sent me something to tell you about, and I left it at home, so I'll have to tell you. Next week. But go to Trident Gunsmithing.
Is that like an event or something they're doing, or they want to talk about something?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I gotcha. I still have the sisters there. I haven't visited them.
I know. I said hi to them.
Yeah,
I say hi to them every week.
Say hi to them.
Hey, we're going to have John Dillon call in. He's with Gatsky, Dillon, and Balance. He is our resident lawyer in-house. Well, not in-house. He's out-of-house. And he's got some latest news, and I'm sure he was glued to the NRA, event as well with Mr. Trump. How you doing there, John?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. What's kicking?
Well, we actually have a lot of stuff that went on in the last week and a half, and some of it seems to be pretty exciting. Michael touched on this right before you guys took a break, but we have two new lawsuits and complaints have been filed in the last week and a half challenging various laws that California put into place this last year. The first one was on April 24th, the CRPA filed a complaint challenging the most recently implemented assault weapon laws. They have seven named plaintiffs, and including the California Rifle and Pistol Association, and they're suing for declaratory relief and injunctive relief to stop the enforcement of the new laws. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know exactly what we're talking about, California passed a massive amount of new gun control laws in 2016. Some of those laws had to do with assault weapons. They essentially redefined what an assault weapon was in California, and it made hundreds, thousands, if not millions of legally owned firearms assault weapons, which will be illegal to possess, transfer, or pass down if they're not registered before 2018. And in fact, even if you do register these things, you cannot sell them or pass them down to your children, even if it is registered.
Well, let me ask you this, John. Now, has this law been passed?
So the law was passed back in 2016, and it became effective January 1st, 2017. Currently, right now, we're in a year-long period of time where we have been granted the permission to register these rifles that fall under the new assault weapon definition. However, as we've discussed previously before, the online registration system has still not been set up by the California Department of Justice. So even if someone wanted to register their assault weapon, it is currently impossible.
Now, if we're filing lawsuits against them, does that stop the law, or does the law just continually roll along? And
so these lawsuits, when I say they're suing for declaratory and injunctive relief, basically the declaratory relief is basically, in a sense, they are bringing a law in front of a judge, and they want a judge to determine whether or not this law is good law or whether it's bad law, basically constitutional or unconstitutional. And then based off of that determination, if the judge says, hey, this law is unconstitutional, they're requesting injunctive relief. Now, injunctive relief, that means they're in a permanent injunction, which is what they're requesting. That means that the law will be stopped and it won't be allowed to be enforced or be effective. So that's what they're trying to get in this complaint. And under the complaint, they're challenging the assault weapon laws based off of the Second Amendment. Basically, they're stating that these laws are prohibiting a class of arms that, to quote D.C.V. Heller, that are overwhelmingly chosen by the American society, which is an unconstitutional act. The Second Amendment protects arms that are typically possessed by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. And these rifles that are now being defined as assault weapons, they are commonly used rifles that are honestly owned by millions of Americans across the country.
But that's great to hear that they're fighting for the injunction. It seems like our side never gets the injunction. It never rules that, okay, well, we're going to pause this or permanently stop it just because it's a ridiculous piece of legislation. What do you think the chances of at least getting a temporary injunction are?
It's going to be steep. It's going to be a difficult thing to get, even with a great argument. Generally speaking, California courts are not too accepting of, Second Amendment Second Amendment challenges against the law. So, in my opinion, this lawsuit, they filed it not to win at the district court level. They filed it to win in the United States Supreme Court level. In the Supreme Court.
Now,
I think they fully anticipate going all the way with this.
If this were not a Second Amendment case, do you feel like that an injunction would be easier to get? I mean, do you feel like, do they generally give injunctions or?
Oh, injunctions are granted on actually a fairly routine basis if you're considering all aspects of the law. But it depends on the exact challenges that you're making, the arguments, and how the court sees it. The great thing is that they're not only challenging this law off Second Amendment grounds, they're also challenging the law off a due process through the due process clause of the 14th Amendment and also the takings clause of the 5th Amendment. To give people background on this, the due process clause of the 14th Amendment basically states that no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And what we're seeing here, this is retroactive legislation that's making legal conduct or owning these rifles illegal by making them assault weapons. And as courts have said, when you use retroactive legislation like this, it is dangerous and it's very easy to become unconstitutional in how they're implemented and how it's affected gun owners and just people in general. So that's another challenge that they're making in this complaint. And the last one is the takings clause of the 5th Amendment. And that's applied through the 14th Amendment to the states. And that also is it's a property protection in the sense that states shall not or it basically says this, nor shall private property be taken from an individual without just compensation. And in these laws, when you have a registered assault weapon in California, you cannot sell it. And when you die, it cannot be passed down to your children. I know a lot of people, they have firearms that become heirlooms and family, treasures. And so they get passed on generation to generation. And you won't be able to do that under the new law. Even if you register your rifle and the state knows all about it and they know all the features it has and they know everything about your life, if you die, you either have to turn that in or your family has to turn it in to law enforcement or it has to be destroyed. And so under the law, the argument is that the government is taking that private property, that legally owned private property, from you without any due process, where they're not bringing it to the court on an individual basis, in a sense, claiming the reasons why they deserve to take it from you, and they're not giving any compensation in return. You don't see the California Department of Justice saying they're going to start writing checks to people for all the guns they have to turn in and hand over if they don't register.
Well, they should. I mean,
they don't have that much money, that's for sure.
Well, no, are you kidding? Don't even get me started. Between that,
I know I ran through a lot of the claims on that case, and I tried to summarize it the best way I could without going deep into the law. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, which are discussed in this complaint, which I think are some great facts that people are not aware of, but in the complaint, it states that between 1990 and 2014, more than 11 million rifles with at least some of the features that are outlawed in these new assault weapons laws were manufactured or imported into the United States. And then in 2012 alone, those rifles that have at least some of these features accounted for 20% of the entire retail firearms industry and sales. And then in 2014, approximately 1,228,000 rifles like this were manufactured and sold in the United States.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the important part of that statistic is the Heller versus D.C. Decision, which talked about, hey, if these are commonly owned and operated firearms, then you definitely can't ban them. Is that kind of the significance there?
Yeah, and that's the angle that they're going for when they are claiming those facts, is that these are common rifles. I'd go so far as to say is most every gun owner I come across these days has at least some variety of these rifles that have, some, all, or, one or two of these features. So, I mean, these are owned by everyone.
It's true. I have a 76-year-old mother who owns an AR. I mean, truly.
There's a lot of them out there.
Many people that I know, their first gun was, what we're now going to be calling assault weapons under California law. That was the first gun they ever bought because they're user-friendly, it's easy and safe to handle, and that's one of the other arguments they talk about, is all these features that the state has now said create an assault weapon. They do nothing to change the fire, the rate of fire, the capacity, the power, or the lethality of these rifles. They're simply cosmetic and basic comfort accessories that allow different sized people to easily use and comfortably hold and use a firearm.
So it's been 27 years since they first passed the assault weapons ban, and they expanded it in 2000. They expanded it last year. Why now? Like, why all of a sudden are they confident that they can win a court case?
Well, I honestly think the main reason is we now have a full United States Supreme Court with Judge Gorsuch now on the bench, who seems to be at least an originalist type of interpreter of the Constitution, and he applies the Constitution in the originalist fashion. He tends to lean in a more pro-Second Amendment interpretation when it comes to the Constitution and the right to bear arms. Obviously, that's no guarantee that any and all pro-Second Amendment cases will he'll lean on the side and choose on the side of the pro-Second Amendment, but it does help, and I think having that, in one way to look at it, you have a majority of the people on the Supreme Court that would lean pro-Second Amendment in these decisions, and having that, that we haven't had that in a long time, and so I think that gave the extra confidence and push to really go after it. Like I said, I think these cases are being brought and being filed right now because they obviously they want to win in the lower courts, but they fully expect to go to the Supreme Court. And,
right.
That's what, a good lawyer always plans for, is you plan for the appeal. You don't plan to finish the case right away. You want to plan ahead. They're obviously planning ahead in this, and they're planning to go all the way, and they should be, because again, California courts are not very friendly with pro-Second Amendment arguments.
Nope, we need to go to the top.
We've seen that multiple times in some of the most recent cases in California.
Crazy. John, thank you very much. Give it the website.
It's cafirearmslaw.com, and it's Gatsky, Dillon, Balance, and Carlsbad. Our number is 760-431-9501.
All right, folks.
Thanks,
so when
John.
in doubt, don't call John. Thanks, buddy. See you next Saturday.
Thanks, John.
Sounds good.
See you, buddy.
All right, does everybody say goodbye? All right, good. All right, we're going to take a small break. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170, The Answer.
AM 1170, The Answer.
All right, folks, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170. We are The Answer. Yes, we are. And this lovely segment is brought to you by those guys.
Those guys.
Those guys.
We love those guys.
Gun Range San Diego, where absolutely nobody does it better. Got Joe Holyfield in the house. But if you've never been to Gun Range San Diego, folks, I mean, if you've never been to a gun range, period, that's the one you need to go to. If you go to that one, then you won't need to go to any other one. Trust me, because you'll go to some of the other ones, you'll go, oh, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be about. But if you go to Gun Range San Diego, where the people are friendly, the place is beautiful, it's got great ranges, it's got talented and technical individuals. They will not only sell you a gun, they will teach you how to fire the gun. They will do all the paperwork. They'll make sure you're legal. They'll take you in. They will show you how to shoot that gun. And hopefully you'll join some of their clubs where you can get into the habit of doing it like Lance does every 13 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, Gun Range San Diego, I'm telling you, every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
7853 Balboa Avenue, 7 days a week, 10 to 10. Just go to Gun Range San Diego and dance along their website, and you'll be totally pleased.
Oh, we have a good time over there all the time.
By the way, that is Joe Hollywood Holyfield.
That's right. And,
What's up, brother? Where were you last week?
I was in Yuma, Arizona, doing a little two-wheel excursion.
Motorcycling?
Yes, sir. Out there, we tooled around Yuma, and we went out to the Colorado River and tooled around out there a little bit. Did some.
You dumped radio for a motorcycle?
Motorcycling girls.
Oh, well, okay. Wasn't for the girls, we'd be in trouble. So what's kicking over at Gun Range San Diego?
Well, I tell you, we still got our ammo specials going on. We got $75 off of every M1A in the store right now. M1A 308 rifle, semi-automatic, and we got Glock days coming up. So on it's May 13th to 14th, we're going to do Glock days, and we got Glock armors coming in from Glock, and they're going to be installing night sights. So if you have a Glock, you bring it in, and for $60, which is about 2/3 of the price of the sights,
they'll light it up.
They're going to put them. They're going to sell them to you and put them on your gun.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're going to be answering any question you have about Glocks, how to soup them up, how to turn them into the race car Glock. It's going to be 2 days event. We're going to have Krispy Kreme donuts there. We're going to do Starbucks coffee. We're going to do.
Do you have to register?
No. It's first come, first served. Just come on in.
And then they'll just do classes as people come in.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're going to have talk, lectures and talks and that kind of thing. We're going to have the doors open and out on the grassy area like we do sometimes, and it's going to be a really fun time.
And Joe, how are those sites different than the stock site?
Well, the stock sites is everybody. If you have a Glock, you got the U in the back and the dot in the front.
Yep. And they're white.
Right, they're white.
Yep.
And the Glock sights, the night sights, are filled with a radioactive material called tritium.
Tritium.
And they glow, and they have about a 12 to 15 year shelf life. So,
I gotcha. Is that a green glow or a red glow?
Green.
Will you glow afterwards?
Well, I'm always glowing.
Well, that's but yours is pink.
Tritium slides. That's nice.
You glow pink. I don't know what's that.
So they're going to change the front and the back sight?
The front and the back.
And then you got to sight.
$60.
Then you got to sight the gun in after that.
Well, yeah, and then we're going to have if we got some of those hot rodded up Glocks over there at Gun Range San Diego, and you get to shoot those for free. All you do is buy the ammo, and you go out there and just shoot those Zev'd up and Glocked up, and
great,
these really fun Glocks, that have been hot rodded up, and we're having a really great time here in just about 10 days or so.
And I don't think people realize how important night sights are. I mean, truly, I'm a kind of a purist. I don't really do anything to my guns. I don't soup them up. But the one thing I always make sure to have are night sights, because I went to a training class, a night, shoot training class, and you find out real quick that you can't see your sights even if you have a flashlight.
Right.
You're training to use a flashlight. It's dark, whatever, bump in the night. You still can't see those front sights.
A flashlight might even wash out your sights.
Absolutely. It washes out, yeah.
You can't see them at all. But the tritium field night sights, you get to acquire that front sight post quick, fast, and in a hurry. And, you're not shooting in total darkness anyway. However, in low light situations, you need to be able to pick up your front sight so you can get rounds on target and quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I don't shoot after dark. If you're going to rob me, you got to do it between 9 and 5.
I was going to say, most
Schedule
bad guys, they wait till the sun is high in the sky before they start, cracking in the bedroom window.
And so for those people that are going to call us and say, will you do that to my Springfield? What are you going to tell them?
Well, I want to tell them I'd love
come
to.
down and buy a Glock.
Yeah, come down and buy a Glock. Or
trade in that Springfield.
Or come down and buy a Springfield, because guess what? Springfield Armory is doing a great deal right now. If you buy a Springfield between now and the end of June, you send in your receipt and you get 4 free magazines.
They're still doing that.
Yeah, they're still doing that. Yeah, 4
That's
free
great.
magazines, a holster, and a magazine caddy.
Does Gun Range San Diego take in trades?
We do sometimes. It depends on what you got. And here's the deal.
Remember that 9mm I was telling you about that my wife can't rack?
Bring it on down.
It's only been shot once.
We'll take care of you.
But you know what I'm saying? So say somebody has a situation like that.
And this is what I tell people. Listen, trading your gun into Gun Range San Diego is like trading your car in at a car dealership. You always make more money if you sell it on your own.
That's true.
I'm going to talk you into selling it on your own, because I'm not in it to rip anybody off, but I still got to keep the lights on.
Yeah, but you're not going to even talk me into that. What you're going to talk me into doing is keeping it.
Keep it and then buy something else.
Yeah, why would you want to get? That's like me and my 15 cars. Just because.
Well, heck, it's already paid for. You might as well just hold on to it.
There you go. Yeah, and you'll tell them, I ain't going to give you enough money for it to make it worth your while.
Exactly,
anyway.
And so that's what I do.
Kind of the truth.
Yeah, and I tell them, there's a lot of great sites out there like Arms List and cowguns.net. You can buy and sell, and you can do a PPT. And if you do find somebody that wants to buy your gun, you come right down to Gun Range San Diego. It doesn't cost a lot of money.
Do all the paperwork.
It's a state set fee of $35, and we'll do all the paperwork for you. Make sure everything's legit. Make sure that you're not selling to anybody you shouldn't be. Keep everything above board.
Right.
And you can sell a gun privately with knowing that you've done the right thing and you've done your due diligence.
Right.
You know what, though? One conversation I've never had is someone who said, boy, I sure am glad I sold that gun 10 years ago.
Exactly. Nobody's
ever had that.
Yeah, come to think of it, I've never heard that one either.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I'm going to get Manny to train my wife how to rack a 9mm. That's all.
I tell you, Manny
he knows how to do it.
He does. You know what? He does a great job. He got, we had Brooke in here a couple of weeks ago, and she took his class, and she got her a Smith & Wesson Shield, and she is. What it did for her is it gave her the confidence. Now, before she had a gun.
She just had a gun.
Right. She wasn't sure if she wanted to carry it. She wasn't sure, but she had it, but she wasn't sure about it. Now, when she carries it, she's confident about it. She knows it's going to do her some good. So it's actually a tool in her toolbox that she can use.
But she still needs more training.
Everybody does.
Every time she comes out.
Marksmanship is a perishable skill. I need more training.
Yeah.
I've been shooting. I was on the Marine Corps shooting team for 2 years.
Yeah.
I need more training. Right. We all need more training. You know that when you do your car stuff.
Driving.
Right? Every time you go to a new car class or any driving class, you learn something new or something that you forgot, right?
Yeah, I know. No,
so
I
that
gotcha.
happens.
No, it's absolutely. And I think that's one of the nice things about the way Gun Range San Diego operates. The selling of guns and ammo is almost the last thing on the list of what you do. It's kind of like, oh, by the way, we do sell guns too, because you're in training, you're in classes.
We specialize in new shooters, and I felt really proud to be a part of Gun Range San Diego earlier this week. Had a lady call in, and she says, "Hey, I wanted to, come shoot, but I've never shot before." She goes, "Or I've shot, but it's been years, and I want to bring a friend who's never shot." And we went to this other store, and she named the store. I won't name it. And they said, well, we'd rather you not shoot here.
Whoa.
And
really?
Yeah, no kidding. And I said, well, you know what? That's what we do is we specialize in new shooters. We love to take people who've never shot before, get them the basics, make them safe, get them behind the gun, let them fall in love.
Right.
And, and keep them coming back. And that's how we spread. That's why the Second Amendment is growing.
That's
Gun ranges like Gun Range San Diego, organizations like the San Diego County Gun Owners. That's why the Second Amendment is becoming, so admired here in Southern California.
How long do you think that guy be working for Gun Range San Diego if he told
Not even a minute. Not even a minute. You got to go.
Golly.
We love new shooters. We specialize in that. If you've never shot a gun before, come on down.
Don't you love an untrained person? Don't you
We
love
do.
somebody that's never ever
They have no bad
versus
habits.
all those bad habits?
Right. They never had any bad habits. They
Why
come
would
in,
you-
we teach them how to do things right the first time. And then
they
they're-
listen better.
And they're a great gun owner for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
We had one of our listeners, Ian, came by today. He goes, you know what? He goes, I used to go to this gun store and this gun store. He goes, now I do nothing but Gun Range San Diego, no matter what.
Right.
Because I heard you guys on the radio, and Lance sends him the podcast.
Yep.
And
Boom.
he's like the fact that you guys are such Second Amendment, advocates and things like that. He goes, I will never shop anywhere else. And that it's just one of those things that makes me proud to be a part of this gun range. Veronica is the best. She's a great owner. She really cares about the community. And I'm so proud to be a part of the Gun Range San Diego.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Hey, how about taking a break and we come back and then it's a free-for-all?
Yeah. We got a few things on our list, though.
Got to talk about gun prom, too.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And you got
Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170. We are the answer.
AM 1170. The answer.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is Gun Range. No, it's not. The two names are too close. Gun Sport. Who came up with that Gun Sports Radio name?
Yeah, who did that? And we got Racer Radio now, too.
I know. That's a fun one, too.
I like that.
That's a good kiss on that one today. Hey, this is Gun Sports Radio. I'm Dave. He is Lance, and this segment is brought to you by the good folks at Trident Gunsmithing. Trident Gunsmithing for all your gun needs, whether you're buying a gun, having it repaired, ammo, clothing, protective gear, bags, you name it, Trident has it all. Go to TridentGunsmithing.com and make sure you stop by and tell them you heard it right here on AM 1170. So, let's kick it. We got open mic, but a ton of stuff to talk about.
I got a real quick question. You guys were talking earlier about the pistol list for the state of California. What do you call that list?
The roster.
The roster.
Yeah,
Where do you
The
find
approved
that?
California gun.
Where do you find that? Do you have it posted on your website, Mike?
Yeah, it's on the DOJ's website. You can Google DOJ California pistol roster, and it'll come up.
It's not hard. Just Google approved handguns for California,
And then you'll see two.
Yeah. Well, there's 400. There's like 400 and some on there
that are left on there. But
it drops exponentially each year because what they do is they say, all right, if you're in there, you're grandfathered in. All you have to do is pay your extortion fee, basically, to stay on the list. But if you change anything about your gun, now you have to keep up with all these extra things that we want, like a magazine disconnect, a loaded chamber,
And you fall off the grandfather
right.
list.
And if you fall off, and so if you change anything, the color,
Right, the color.
you change the color of it.
Really?
Absolutely, you change the sights, and you fall off the list. And then
How would
to get
they
back
know
on
that?
the list,
How would they know that?
because you have to submit a new gun every year. You have to submit that gun every
You have
year.
to physically
5 of them.
take it down and
You have
show
to
it to them.
send 5 of them every year down there, and they, Mike's talked before about how the guys never failed a gun.
Yeah, they never fail. It's just all it is a big fat tax. And what happened was
It's a gun ban, is what it is.
it's a de facto gun ban. They started it back in, I think it was 04 or something like that. And they said, hey, we just want to make pistols safer. And all the gun advocates said, wait, this is going to turn into a ban. And they said, oh, no, you're silly. So what they've done is kind of flash forward to today is they've said, okay, you're now required to have a little serial number on the end of your firing pin so it stamps a casing so that we can tell where that casing went.
It's called micro-stamping.
Micro-stamping.
Yeah.
And that all sounds well and good. All the manufacturers have said, great, we've complied with everything else. We want to comply with this. How do we do it? And the California DOJ said, well, we don't know. Tough.
Well, there's no technology out there to do it, but
Right.
but we're going to require it anyway.
Hey, did you give away the 2 seats at the May 6th dinner yet?
Oh, we got the big dinner coming up, the Gun Prom.
Gun Prom.
San Diego
Prom.
County Gun Owners.
It's all sold out. It's all sold out.
May
Way
6th.
sold out.
Yeah,
Way
way sold out. And there's a company called Alone and Unafraid. It's an apparel company called Alone and Unafraid, and they do a lot of stuff for veterans and PTSD sufferers and that kind of thing. And they've gotten together with San Diego County Gun Owners, and they're giving away 2 seats. So they're giving away $300 worth of dinner.
Yep.
And so what you got to do is you either have to submit something on the San Diego County Gun Owners Facebook or the Alone and Unafraid Facebook, but you have to have something that has both companies in the photo. You can, hold your phone up. You can have it just print it out on your computer, whatever. Wear a shirt, whatever you want to do. And they're going to give away 2 seats. And today is the last day to enter. So
They're
make sure you get on
they're
there.
picking the winner tomorrow.
Picking the winner tomorrow.
The only way to get into this dinner now is through your contest.
Yep.
If you haven't already bought tickets, 460 people at the Hotel Del Coronado, which is a beautiful venue. Mm-hmm. All kinds of prizes, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So you have to have San Diego County Gun Owners logo and Alone and Unafraid logo on a picture, right?
Anyway, however you can do it, whether it's a shirt,
can you draw Alone and Unafraid?
You can draw it, write it out.
Okay, I'm just saying, or go get a tattoo or something. Yeah, something
like that. Get a tattoo, whatever it is.
Somebody gets a tattoo.
And
somebody's got to get it.
And speaking of events, we've got the Del Mar Gun Show coming up on the 21st
of May. Yep.
Of May.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
You got a
We're going to be there. We're going to be there with a booth and passing out information and talking to people about the different laws and talking to people about San Diego County Gun Owners and all kinds of
Are you guys
stuff.
broadcasting Mother's Day?
Yes.
Okay, well, I am.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was just thinking.
Well, you have it down there, so
we have to do something for Mother's Day. So I'm going to come up with some kind of little.
I got to find a mother.
I got to find a mother to go shooting or something like that, and we're going to bring her on.
You can't go shoot a mother.
No, we're going to bring a mother that's been shooting.
Yeah, that's what we ought to do.
So Mother's Day is the 14th. May's a big month. You got Mother's Day. You got the gun prom going on,
and my wife's birthday.
Michelle's birthday?
Yeah, that's way more important.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, so it's huge. And then we got, and then of course Memorial Day.
Memorial Day's coming up. It's just a big month.
Ton.
Monday's already May 1st. It's hard to imagine.
Don't even start with me.
It's just
don't even start.
That's tomorrow.
So, Lance, you're asking about the website for the roster?
Yes.
It is certguns.doj.ca.gov. That's certguns, C-E-R-T guns.doj.ca.gov. They can't even have a website that's not complicated.
No, I was just going to say, well, that's because they don't want you to get anywhere near it.
And every year, like I think it was like 81 guns fell off from 14 to 15, and from 15 to 16, and from 16 to 17, another like 110.
I mean, if they did that, to cars that they're doing to,
right? Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, you know what?
90% of the cars wouldn't be sold in California.
It's not a car ban because you can't drive a Ford because Toyotas are still available.
Right.
So it's not a gun. It's not a car ban.
Right.
It's totally ridiculous.
Oh well, it's like saying, all right, well, you can buy any car you want as long as it flies.
Right.
Exactly. And speaking of that, where are we at with that whole suppressor deal? As far as there's the federal law they're trying to pass something about hunting and all that.
Sure, on the federal. So a suppressor obviously does the same thing to a gun that a muffler does to a car. Makes it
reduces the
but it's important. But it's important to understand that it doesn't make it like the movies where you can't hear it. You still hear the thing go off. It just doesn't rack your ears.
Right. It lowers it maybe 25.
And it has nothing to do with safety.
It has everything to do with health, really, because it doesn't damage your ears. So a lot of people
it's healthier and safer to use a suppressor, actually.
Right. And they're against it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so they're trying to make it easier on the federal level so that you can own a suppressor a little bit easier. Unfortunately, that's not going to help us in California because suppressors are outlawed on the state level. So a lot of people were reading this and looking forward to it and saying, okay, great, finally, I could put a suppressor on my hunting rifle.
If you move to Nevada.
But California is one of the very few states that doesn't.
And when you say very few, I mean it's very few. It's like there's only 4 states or 5 states or something like that don't allow suppressors. The other states get it that you don't need to have when you're hunting and to have headphones on all the time when you're hunting doesn't work a lot of times because how do you yell to your buddy and all this other stuff? It's just unsafe.
So does that mean California is just doomed? I mean, is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Is there anybody trying to get into office that is Second Amendment?
Obviously, California just needs to modernize, and they need to, because right now their laws are antiquated, and they need to progress to a more modern standard. So that because these are
who's the governor that we should be voting for?
Well, that's a good question.
Not Moonbeam.
So there isn't anybody.
Well,
not yet.
8 out of the last 10 governors have been Republican. 8 out of the last 10 governors have been Republican. You got Pete Wilson all the way back. Yeah. So, we've had a bad run here recently, but hopefully it'll get better. If you're going to open up a marijuana store, it's illegal federally, but you can still sell your marijuana, but then you can't, have a bank account and everything else like that.
Well, and it costs you a quarter.
You should be able to have your suppressor because it's not like the movies, where you can't hear that thing. So
it really isn't. No, it's just. Yes, sir.
I was say before we get out of here, I just wanted to, for the gun prom.
Yep.
Gun Range San Diego has a Wyndham Weaponry carbon fiber AR that they're donating, and they can't wait to present it. I get to present it.
Lance already won it. You didn't hear?
Lance already owned it.
You didn't get the memo?
You kidding me?
It's really cool because a lot of people, donation-wise, are real generous when it comes to the gun prom, and so we're looking forward to that.
How many firearms are you giving away this year?
I think we're up to 15.
Holy
plus a safe and Trident Gunsmithing. They're giving an upper, and then there's a couple little bit. I think we're up to 15 firearms now.
Whoa!
Totally.
Nobody's gonna come mess with us.
I'm so excited that I get to be a part of it.
Yeah, you do. You're wearing a tux, right?
Well, yeah. Have you seen Dumb and Dumber? That's me.
There you go. There you go. All right, folks. That's Gun Sports Radio. I'm Dave. He's Lance. What's the information site for people who want to send us a note?
If you want to email the show, it's info@gunsportsradio.com, info@gunsportsradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Go on Facebook. Look for Gun Sports Radio. Like us on there. And check out our sponsors, too.
Perfect.
You got Gun Range San Diego, terrific sponsor. The Gun Range San Diego, Trident Gunsmithing, of course.
511 Tactical.
Don't forget 511, man.
And up and coming, Gators Z.
Gators Glasses is going to be coming on as a sponsor.
10 seconds, we're out of here.
Dylan, don't forget Dylan.
John Dillon, thank you.
Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.